Welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video, and in this video we are driving the brand new 2021 Mazda 3 hatchback turbocharged with standard all-wheel drive with the turbo. This is a very exciting car. It's a very Colorado car, and in this video we're going to drive it in 3 distinct environments. We're going to be cruising around town, we're going to take it up in the canyons for a hard blast, and then we're going to cruise with it on the highway and talk about how it drives in the 3 environments where you will mostly find yourself in a Mazda 3 hatch. We are going to start off in the city, and I do want to start with one of the most impressive things about this car, which is its cold weather driving capability. Typically, turbocharged 4-cylinder engines are real grumbly and shaky and not well calibrated at cold temperatures, but I gotta say, I started this thing up at about 9 degrees Fahrenheit this morning. Started right up, did a very quick cold start cycle. I drove it gently and it just felt great. Super impressive on the cold weather driving side. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the car. This thing's near as makes no difference, $35,000. It has every option you can get in the Mazda 3 hatch, and it really is like a step up from a Corolla hatchback or something like this. It feels unbelievably premium in here, really put together, and it looks amazing on the outside. I mean, this has to be one of the best looking hatchbacks on sale ever. It really just nails the design. Absolutely love it. Power and torque we'll get into when we drive it more in the canyons, but it's about 230 horsepower, 228, and then 310 foot-pounds of torque, but it depends on what kind of fuel you put on it. Mazda gives it 2 ratings, which is pretty interesting, where if you run premium fuel, it'll give you more power. If you run regular, it'll give you less. So while it doesn't require premium, you will get probably better fuel economy and more power out of it. So this car has been filled with premium fuel for sure. The driving around town bits, this is where we talk about how the car performs in the city, and it's important to talk about its transmission, its powertrain. So we have that, again, that 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, 2.5 liter, and then we have a 6-speed automatic transmission here in the middle, and it feeds to a all-wheel drive system. It's a new and updated all-wheel drive system for 2021 that can send up to 3 times more power to the rear wheels than the previous generation. So it's a huge upgrade, and it should give us more of a rear-wheel drive driving characteristic. I'm excited to see that up in the canyons. But here around town, it's just comfortable. I love the seating position in this car. Getting in and out of it is super easy. It's a kind of a big deal for me. I have Lyme disease, so my knees are bad, and I thought, well, it's going to be a little low to the ground. Actually, very easy to get in and out of. I love where I sit in the car, nice and low. I have a really nice cabin feel. I like Mazdas because they don't have a ton of tech in them, just enough to get by, like CarPlay, for example, that's up now, and a ton of safety kit that comes as standard. And then you get these beautiful analog gauges. Where have analog gauges gone? Now, of course, this center one I can change to different styles of gauge, like to put a driver assistance one on or a little bit of info in there. So it's digital for the speedometer, but it works great. And man, I'm just so happy that Mazda has stayed true to its roots of building a cabin for drivers' vehicles. Now, in my previous video, I did like a full tour, interior and exterior, so I won't get into it too much. But the gist is, love the way it looks. Love the materials in here, and I love the overall design. I think it's got to be one of the best cars. So moving on from that, we get to driving in town, and this is really a very impressive part. So right now I'm driving just in normal mode. You either get normal or sport, and you know, it's not overly complicated. There's no start stop on this car. There is optional auto hold, so if I come to a complete stop, for example, I get a little indication here on the dash, so I don't need to keep my foot on the brake, and it just holds us. That is a great feature, and you do not really hear the engine idling. Listen, it's dead quiet. And then pulling off from the light, it's a really nice throttle calibration. So many automakers these days are just totally ruining and messing up throttle pedal calibration, where it's too much tip in or too delayed, and then you get lag. It's like Mazda has just nailed it with the pedal calibration around town. The brake pedal feels amazing. In the city, I do have some issues with the braking system, but none of them come with us in the city environment here. And just cruising around in this thing is awesome. I'm sure we'd get great fuel economy in town, driving easily, but this car does kind of urge you to drive quickly. With that 310 pound-feet of torque, you can kind of like get into it at low RPM, and it just gets up and goes, which is really nice. Apparently this guy wants to move over really badly. I'm not totally sure what his deal is. I think he's mad at this guy for going too slowly. Ripping the cruise, hell yeah, brother. The thing is, you can't speed around my town because they park these camera vans that collect your speed every time you drive past them. So you just gotta go slow. I don't know how it's legal, but somehow it is. Anyway, yeah, suspension calibration, perfect. It's firm, but it's not uncompliant. It has a really nice calibration, and also the road noise is significantly lower in this car than I've experienced in others. I think the tires on this car are just general all-season Bridgestone Potenzas, maybe, I'm not quite sure, but a really, really nice combination of tire. Everything around town, super comfortable, don't need to worry about it, all looks and feels great. You can just cruise around in this thing all day long. I will say though, from a practicality standpoint, you have a ton of trunk space, but not a ton of rear legroom. While I do fit in the third row, multiple times or the second row I should say, I've had to ask multiple times the front passenger to just inch their seat up a little bit. So you felt the car here in the town, drives great. Let's go take it up onto my favorite canyon road where I shake down every car, throw this thing in sport mode, see if we can turn off some of the traction control and test to see how much rear rotation we can actually get out of this thing. And then I have a big problem with it that I want to talk to you. Actually, my only problem with this whole car. And now you join us on the road over to the canyons. So we're going to engage sport mode, and I'm actually going to leave the car. He'd already dropped it to 3,000 RPM, mainly because I was in sport mode, just ripped up a little section of good road on the way over here. What do we have here? We have torque vectoring. We have a better and stronger steering knuckle for more feel. We have a revised suspension system. We have that all-wheel drive system that'll send 3 times more power to the back, and we have a hatchback with all-wheel drive, so it's got to be a good canyon carver. Engine sounds nice and meaty, very sophisticated sounding 4-cylinder engine, might I add. Here we go, wide open through here, sun's right at our eyes. The brakes are sharp initially, but when you get into them, there's just not much there. That is my only problem with this whole car. The balance of the car on limit through here is exceptional. You turn this thing in and it leans over. Mazdas have always been a little bit soft, but you let the body weight shift and then you just dig in and go. Really nice. Biker on this road, not sure that's the best idea, dude. You know everyone comes up here to have fun in cars. Yeah, that's just dangerous. Ride a Peloton. Coming through though, man, is this just not a freaking blast to have on a back road. A little Subi in front of us here. Nice. Looks like they're going rather tame speeds. I guess we'll just hang out behind them, and that'll give me a chance to talk about what we have here. A 6-speed transmission, which is about 2 less than the industry average now. Oh, what a nice dude. Thank you so much, old lady. Oh, and my forward-facing face camera has fallen again. Why have you done this now twice today on me? That's not good. Let's see if I can get you on the windshield. There we go. Different angle, but should work. So we have 6 gears instead of 8, which means you really need to use a lot of that torque band. Good thing this engine has a pretty flat torque curve. The shifts are still pretty crisp. Gotta say, coming in, rotation under braking, that's what we like to see, and big power on the way out. So really good matched engine. It's not, you know, crazy fast, but you definitely get that 310 foot-pounds of torque, all-wheel drive power coming on the way out, no hint of torque steer, nothing like this through here. What you do get though is rotation under braking. You can see I just forced the car into a lift-off situation with trail braking. What a nice powertrain. One deer over there. When there's one, there's more. Big old school bus. We're just gonna chill through this section. Sometimes our friends in the blue like to sit over here. But you know, the point of this car is to go out, be a daily driver, but Mazdas have always been the enthusiast option. You kind of have to be a little bit into cars to appreciate the Mazda and the upcharge, because they are more expensive than a Hyundai, Kia, Toyota, Honda equivalent. And you know what? They feel nicer too. It's worth the money. And you know, I'm a huge Mazda fan. So now let's put it in manual mode, pull a downshift paddle, and now I have full control of the paddles. And it does hold the rev line right there, red line at 6,000. It does not like to rev, this motor. It is a torquey machine. And we already have a lot more snow up here than we did at the base of the canyons. This is pretty neat. 19 degrees Fahrenheit outside, so we'll watch for ice on the roads. 3,500 RPM torque, you know, my foot was down there, and that was great. So the nice thing with this motor is you don't have to rev it out all the time. You can just basically, we're just gonna brake in the dry section, turn in, yeah. Now I bet this car with a little bit of a hot tune on it, running pure 93 octane would be really nice, especially not up here at 10,000 feet of elevation, or we're about 7,000 right now, but this road goes up to 9,000 or so. And yeah, so the noise is quiet and tame, but man, does it not get a move on. Now I'd say this is not a Mazda 3, Mazda Speed 3, it is a Mazda 3. It is just a hot Mazda 3. It's the one to buy. Look at that power on the way out of corners. It just digs. We don't even need to turn traction control off because we're not really spinning any tires. We're just out for a nice mountain road cruise in a great car that loves this kind of stuff. The thing I like about Mazdas is they've never had tons of power. They've just had a lot of great tactile feedback. Now I will say the steering, there's almost no feedback here, but it's quite direct. Feels really good, and the car's doing exactly what I want it to do. And the most impressive bit is chassis control on limit. You can see under braking, I can actually pitch the car into a corner, get on the power, and have all-wheel drive to pull me out. And we're talking little itty-bitty angles here. And let's see, this guy's getting out of our way. But the gearing gap is huge. Watch this first gear, second gear. It's like a 2,000 RPM drop. Yeah, it's massive spread. I mean, you could almost fit a whole gearbox between 1 and 2. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because look, we're at 3,500 RPM. My foot's down, and it's still climbing up this hill at relatively big speeds. I mean, what more do you want here? This thing's great. Honestly, I'm not sure if there's many cars that are better than this in terms of an all-around package. Being so comfortable in town, have really good driver assistance technology, and to be this capable on a back road. You know, I grew up driving hatchbacks. My first car was a all-wheel drive manual transmission hatch, and that is really, for me, the ultimate mesh right there. Now, the only thing that would make this car better is a braking system that had this initial bite, but it had the stopping power to back it up with the rest of the pedal. Here you do have, like, it gives you overconfidence in braking that you shouldn't have, because when you really get deep in the pedal, it's like, is anyone home? Are we going to slow down? And so that's kind of the issue with this thing. But man, does it shred. Big numbers down the straightaway here. That is just impressive that this can just do that. But here, look, brakes, it's just like, they're kind of gone real quick. And not much thermal longevity of them either. So, braking, number one. Number two, transmission. Now, I have become I'm a manual guy, right? But I have become much more open to the idea of automatic transmissions in combustion vehicles for daily driving. I also think you should drive an EV every day, but that's because I'm silly. But I think this, if you're gonna have an automatic, pure automatic, this one is pretty good. It cracks off the shifts. I like the 6-speed nature. It's not too many, it's not constantly shifting. The car definitely lets you know when it is shifting. But it's got so much torque with this 2.5 turbo that you almost don't need more gears. It's just, you know, just a flat torque curve all the way up. So that's kind of fine with me. And a manual, though, I would prefer. If this was a manual and I could do some aftermarket spicy stuff to it, like put on a tune and maybe like a little turbo upgrade and a downpipe and exhaust, and kind of mod it out a little bit, this is a great starting point, great chassis. And I really hope Mazda gives us a 6-speed manual in place of this automatic as a optional extra. And man, what a great car and a great road. just having a blast shredding this up. And it's not like I'm even driving it that hard. We're doing, you know, a 6/10 cruise here, maybe even a 5/10, and it's just fun. So I'm gonna shut up now and just join me for a drive. Best part of the road through here. Absolutely gorgeous this time of day as well. Big power over the hill. Engine temperature still in the cold, and we've been climbing up this hill too. It's just a really fun car on a really fun road, honestly. Here's where I want more brakes. But that torque coming out, it's almost like don't even downshift, just keep it at 3,000 RPM. Pretty stellar torque. I'm just gonna upshift early. It almost feels faster if you just upshift early because it kind of dies off at the top RPM, loses a little bit of steam. This all-wheel drive system is fantastic. I'm gonna turn off the traction control just for this tight section. Coming in under braking. You got to be careful because there's a ton of dirt and crap all over the road. And power, let's go. No, oh, red line, second, there we go. Sometimes it upshifts at red line, sometimes it doesn't. Can't really figure out when and why. And I had my foot past the kickdown switch there. We'll leave it in second for this one. Yeah, that one definitely needed first gear. Anything below 3,000 RPM might be a little hard for it to pull itself up, but at 3 and above, no need to downshift. Yeah, here definitely can use a first gear, but look, it pulls itself out once it gets on boil, and it changes the turbo air intake as well. So at low RPM, some little valve pressurizes the air by having it go through a smaller tube to spin up the turbo, and then opens up to allow more flow. It's not variable vane, but like variable inlet. It's pretty interesting technology. Mazda has great engine technology for sure, and this engine's a real winner, a real winner. Just the calibration on it, the torque band all throughout. My only ask for this engine would be to have more engine speed available. So maybe 6,800 RPM redline, and then I think that's honestly maybe the only thing I want. I like the power. It's fine. It's not fast, but totally good. I think with a little bit of a hot tune on this thing and give it a little bit of aftermarket sprinkle, you can probably get 300 horsepower wheel, I would think. This all-wheel drive system, insanely nicely calibrated, really gives very neutral handling. Never once did I feel an essence of understeer, just neutral power through. And this car is a real winner up here in the canyon, so you can definitely go and like bring this to the tail of the dragon or up here and have a absolute blast. So thanks for watching the canyon section. I'm gonna go enjoy the view, and then I'm gonna go home and take it on the highway. So see you on the highway. And now you join me on the highway. Gone are the GoPros. I'm just rocking handheld for now because I'm actually cruising on my MPG loop, and sometimes I mix them together, and I forgot to bring my GoPros this morning. But I do want to tell you a little bit about how this car drives on the highway, so let's get into it. You can see we're cruising along in this frozen tundra here in northern Colorado on our test, and I just showed a little example of when you hit the line, the car pushes you back in the lane. Really nice. Although the car doesn't do active lane centering, which is like active steering, unless you're below 40 miles per hour, I think on like a well-traveled road or at least following another car. I really haven't done too much experimenting with traffic. As you can see, there's kind of no one around. And yeah, I just haven't been able to try it more than, I believe, twice now. And I wasn't super impressed with the system, but that's okay. Cruising down the highway now, you can see the alignment is dead on straight on this car. I haven't touched the wheel in a little while. It's seriously quiet in here. It's cruising at about 2,100 RPM at 70 miles per hour constant. Really great RPM. and should be pretty good efficiency. We'll be trying that out. You'll have to watch our MPG loop video to see what kind of MPG this car gets in our test here, but I imagine pretty good. One thing I've noticed is the fuel tank is quite small. It's only about, I think, 11 or 12 gallons, and when you're driving it aggressively up in the canyons, man, does it just suck down the fuel. So we'll see how that works on the highway, but I imagine you'll become pretty acquainted with your fueling station with such a small fuel tank. Other than that, really comfortable in here. The seats are awesome. You can see the shape of them isn't too exciting, but they hold you in nice, and they don't provide any extra feet or back pain or things like this. I think it's a great compromise. Really, a cruiser on the highway, I could see myself doing tens and tens of hundreds of miles on this car. You know, drive it cross country, no problem type thing. It's really, really good at that. And great visibility out the rear. I love this frameless rear view mirror. The adaptive cruise control is doing a good job keeping us at 70, of course. It'll slow down for the car in front. I can adjust the distance here. The heads-up display just in front of me is a fantastic feature to have. I wish more cars would have that. And honestly, for the price of $34,000, the more I think about it, it's worth every penny. It gets you everything you want. I think it's not underpriced. It's not overpriced. It's priced appropriately for the vehicle, and I would say 100% recommend anyone to buy this car that wants a really good all-wheel drive, fun to drive hatchback, but still quite practical. Can't think of a better car in this category. Seriously, this thing's a real winner. So thanks so much for watching.